My name is Blair Rowan, and I'm 31 years old. Most nights, you'll find me under harsh fluorescent lights on the factory floor, wearing steel-toe boots and earplugs, the smell of melted resin sinking so deeply into my clothes, it feels like part of my skin. 12-hour shifts, rotating schedules, a life measured in overtime slips and vending machine coffee. That's my world. Or rather, it used to be mine, before my family quietly claimed ownership of it. I'm the middle daughter, not the golden one. That's my older sister Jenna, not the charismatic one. That's my younger brother Nate. I'm the reliable one, which in my family doesn't mean dependable. It means useful. If someone's faucet leaks, they call me. If someone needs a ride, they text me. If there's a holiday, a birthday, or a sudden brunch, I'm the one watching the kids. No negotiation, no question, no compensation, not even gratitude beyond a breezy, "You're a lifesaver, Blair." It started almost 10 years ago. One Thanksgiving, Jenna shoved a diaper bag into my arms and said casually, "You don't have kids, so it doesn't matter." She smiled. Everyone laughed. I remember laughing too, just to make it easier, the sound small and obedient. But something cold settled under my ribs that day, a feeling I wouldn't recognize until much later. Since then, every major holiday has looked the same. My parents' door swings open. Nate drops off his 2 toddlers. Jenna leaves her 3. And I become, in my mother's words, a coat rack with patience. "You're so good with them," Mom always praises. "You've got the temperament." Maybe I do. I can rock a baby with one arm and spoon mashed potatoes with the other. I can answer a 6-year-old's question about dinosaurs while untangling a kite string. I can breathe through a tantrum the way other people breathe through traffic. Inconvenient, but expected. But last Christmas, something in me cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, but in a soft, devastating way. We were in the kitchen. I was wiping applesauce off a high chair while Jenna plated pie. The kids screamed about a blue cup versus a green one. Nate brushed past me on his way to the living room, slapping my shoulder. "You're a lifesaver, Blair," he said. Then Jenna leaned in, voice light as sugar. "We were thinking you should just plan to watch the kids for all the holidays. It's easier, since you don't have kids." A switch flipped in my chest. Quiet. Final. I stared at my hands, knuckles cracked from overtime, fingers pruned from dishwater. I looked at the reflection of the Christmas tree lights in the oven door, distorted and trembling. It doesn't matter. You don't have kids, so it doesn't matter. That sentence wouldn't stop echoing. But like always, I swallowed it. I finished loading the dishwasher. I folded tiny sweaters. I smiled for family photos as if I weren't unraveling. On the drive home, the road was empty. The night felt tight around me, heavy like someone pressing a hand over my mouth. I kept hearing that sentence, the way they said it, the way they meant it. They didn't see me as a person with limits, or a life, or needs. I was just available. And the worst part, I had allowed them to think that. A few weeks later, everything collapsed at once. My building sold. Rent jumped from $1,050 to $1,350 with 30 days' notice. I ran the math 6 different ways, but overtime had been cut and the numbers refused to cooperate. My stomach kept sinking every time I checked my bank balance. $1,143. Not enough. Not even close. I needed help. Just a week. A couch, a blow-up mattress, anything. I called Jenna first. "Hey," I said, trying to sound upbeat. "My lease is ending. Could I stay with you guys for a week while I find a new place?" She hesitated. Something Jenna never does unless she's about to disappoint someone. "Oh, Blair, you know we don't have space," she said. "The baby's crib is in the office now, and you know how routines are." Routines, of course. Next, I called Nate. "Man, I wish," he told me. "We're doing a kitchen reno. Dust everywhere. You wouldn't be comfortable." I almost laughed then, a painful, bitter almost laugh. As if comfort mattered when you were about to be homeless. Finally, I drove to my parents' house. Mom opened the door with a dish towel still on her shoulder. "Your father's napping," she whispered, as if that meant my request should die quietly behind my lips. "Just a week," I said. "I'll be out of your hair. I don't have anywhere else." Mom sighed like I was asking for the world. "You're a grown woman, Blair. We raised you to be independent. We can't enable you." I nodded because that's what I always do, but something inside me splintered. That night, I slept in my car behind the factory. The steering wheel dug into my ribs. Cold air seeped through the cracked door seal. I tried not to cry because crying made everything feel too real. On the 3rd day, after my supervisor sent me home early, "Clock out before you pass out, Rowan," I found a studio apartment through a coworker, $900 with utilities included. Mold on the bathroom ceiling, peeling paint, a single window that barely opened. But it was mine, even if only barely. I moved in with 4 boxes and a mattress on the floor. The walls felt damp. The room smelled faintly of mildew and lost hopes. That first night, Jenna texted, "Congrats on the new place, BTW. Can we drop the kids Saturday? It's just brunch, 10-2." I stared at the message until my eyes burned. I typed no, then deleted it. Typed I can't, deleted again. Typed okay. Like always. That Saturday became 9:15 to 4:30. They forgot the diaper bag. They came back with iced coffees and sunburns. "You're a rock star," Nate said. No, I was just tired. Bone tired. Soul tired. And the pattern continued. If I said I had plans, it won't take long. If I said I needed sleep, you can nap when the kids nap. If I said nothing, they took it as a yes. Once, they left 2 kids at my door with a note scribbled on a paper plate. Back by 5, a hex. No signature, because why sign what you think you own? Something shifted after that, a quiet rebellion. I started writing things down. Dates, drop-off times, hours, miles, snacks, tantrums, everything. Maybe I just needed proof that I wasn't imagining the weight crushing me. 2 months later, sitting on my mattress while steam from my instant noodles fogged the cheap window, I found my old apartment key stuck between the seat and console of my car. I held it in my hand, cold and smooth. A relic. A memory of a time when I actually believed my family would help me if I ever needed it. That realization hit harder than anything. And for the first time, a new thought flickered through me. Terrifying, small, electric. I can't keep living like this. The studio apartment eventually stopped feeling like a holding cell and started feeling like a pause, a breath. A place where I didn't have to listen for the sound of someone else's baby monitor. I bought a secondhand table from a guy at work, hung a cheap curtain from the dollar store, changed my phone's vibration for family texts so it wouldn't feel like a summons. For the first time in years, I started feeling something close to quiet, but quiet doesn't last long in my family. It was a Saturday morning, the kind where the sunlight leaks in sideways through the blinds, soft and almost kind. I had just finished a night shift and brewed myself a cup of coffee, a rare luxury. Steam curled upward, slow and peaceful. Then my phone buzzed. "Jenna, dropping the kids at 10. We'll pick up after lunch." I stared at the message. My thumb hovered over the screen. A pulse thudded behind my eyes. This time something inside me didn't bend. I typed one word. "No." She replied instantly. And then, "Haha, funny, see you at 10. My chest tightened, but not in fear, in anger. For so long I had let them assume my no meant convince me harder. But not today. I set the phone down, face first on the table, but the vibration didn't stop. Dad, Mom, Nate, even Jenna's husband chimed in. "Family helps family. Don't be selfish. We all do our part. Blair, stop making this hard." I didn't respond. I just watched the steam from my coffee fade, disappearing into nothing, the same way my weekends had for nearly a decade. At 10:12 a.m., I heard footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, familiar, uninvited. I opened the door before they could knock. Jenna stood there with a stroller, diaper bag hanging off one shoulder, and a smile so determined it felt like an invasion. Behind her, Nate was climbing the stairs, breathing like he'd summited a mountain even though it was only 2 flights. His truck sat rumbling at the curb, still running, like the world would pause for his convenience. The kids were already lined up behind them, in various costumes. A superhero cape, a ballerina tutu, a dinosaur tail. They looked like a parade meant to overwhelm me with cuteness. Jenna breezed forward. "Okay," she said brightly. "We'll be back at 2, maybe 3. Brunch has bottomless mimosas today." "No," I said, blocking the doorway. She blinked, as if the word was foreign, as if it couldn't possibly apply to her. "What?" "No drop-offs," I repeated. "Not today. Not anymore." Nate reached the landing, out of breath and already annoyed. "Blair, seriously? Just take them. We'll be quick." My voice didn't shake. It didn't break. It simply landed like a stone. "I asked for 1 week," I said. "When I lost my apartment, 1 week, and not one of you had space." Nate waved a hand dismissively. That was different. "How?" I asked. He didn't answer. Of course he didn't. Jenna tried to step past me. I didn't move. "Blair," she said, using the tone she reserves for children and people she thinks she can control. "You love the kids." I swallowed hard. "I do. but loving them doesn't mean raising them for free on my only days off. Silence pooled at the door. Even the kids grew still, sensing the tension the way only children can. That was when I heard a voice from the stairwell. My mother. Blair, she said sharply, don't make a scene. I looked at her, hair brushed, lipstick on, judgment ready. She had come too, as if wrangling me required a committee. I'm not making a scene, I said. I'm setting a boundary. Nate snorted. A boundary? Where'd you learn that? TikTok? He laughed like it was a joke, like I was a joke. I stepped back just enough to reveal the table behind me. On it sat a single sheet of paper, a pen, a list. Dates, drop-off times, pickup times, miles driven to the park, snacks purchased, diapers I bought, late nights, early mornings. 2 years of my life tracked in clean black ink. At the bottom, circled twice, 4 to 12 hours, 12-hour rate. Total, $4,144. Jenna squinted. Well, what is this? An itemized record, I said. Of every single time you dropped your kids here, of every hour I worked for free. Nate's mouth dropped open. You're charging us? No, I said firmly. I'm valuing my time, like you value yours. Mom stepped forward, her voice dripping with disappointment. This is ungrateful, after everything we've done for you. When I asked to stay 1 week, I cut in. You told me you couldn't enable me. Her lips tightened in that way that meant conversation over, except it wasn't. Not this time. Jenna's perfect smile collapsed. We didn't know it was that serious, she whispered. I called you at 9:14 p.m., I said, and again at 9:42. You didn't answer. I texted that I had nowhere to go. You heart reacted at 7:02 the next morning. Jenna winced, because she remembered. This isn't about payback, I continued, voice steady. It's about boundaries. Jenna clutched the diaper bag tighter. So what, you're done with us? No, I said softly. I'm done being free labor. Nate looked past me. At the mattress on the floor, the single chair, the wobbly table propped up by a folded grocery ad, the life he'd never noticed. Mom tried again. We're family. And I'm family too, I whispered. I matter. I stepped aside. You can come in and feed them breakfast while you make new plans, or take them with you. But they're not staying here. A long, excruciating second passed. Then Nate grabbed this dinosaur backpack and slung it over his shoulder. Fine, he muttered. We'll figure something out. Jenna hesitated. Her eyes were wet. Angry wet. Wounded wet. The kids will be disappointed, she said. One last attempt at guilt. Kids are resilient, I replied. Adults can be too. They left. Mom didn't say goodbye. When the footsteps faded, I closed the door, quietly, with hands that trembled. I made coffee, sat down, listened to the silence. Heavy, fragile, mine. 10 minutes later, the group chat exploded. Mom. Can't believe you embarrassed us. Nate. Way to make things harder. Jenna. You could have warned us. I flipped my phone over and let the screen go dark. For the first time in years, I felt the edge of something new. Not joy, not relief, but a beginning. For the next few days, my phone became a battlefield. By Monday morning, there were 32 unread messages and a voicemail from my father that began with, young lady, and ended with, call your mother. I didn't. I kept my phone on Do Not Disturb, turned the sound down, and let the world go quiet around me. It felt like I'd stepped out of a storm into a room with no windows, a room I wasn't sure I deserved, but desperately needed. The consequences came quickly. Jenna posted one of those vague Facebook statuses. Some people forget where they come from. Nate called twice, then hung up both times before the line connected. Mom confronted me in the grocery store between the produce and the bakery aisle. You always were sensitive, she said, like it was a character flaw or a diagnosis. I laughed. A short, surprising breath that sounded more like release than humor. At work, I picked up weekend overtime. Saturday night, surrounded by the hiss of machinery and the clatter of conveyor belts, I felt something huge and simple settle into place. A weekend that belonged only to me. After my shift, I showered, made pasta at midnight, and slept until the sun climbed high in the sky. It was the best sleep I'd had in years. By Tuesday, Jenna texted, "We need to talk." I stared at the message a long time before replying. Thursday 6, can't do nights. Saturday 11. Her response came quickly. Fine. She showed up on Saturday at exactly 11. No kids, no diaper bag, no frantic energy. Just Jenna, holding a small notebook, hands trembling slightly. She looked around my studio. The mattress, the cheap curtain, the fixed table with the single chair. A life she never paused long enough to see. We didn't know you were keeping track, she said, sitting down. I had to, I replied softly. Otherwise, I was just a feeling. And feelings are easy to argue with. Numbers aren't. She looked down, then back up. I want to say I'm sorry, she whispered, but I'm also mad. You can be both, I said. She exhaled shakily. You were right about the apartment, she admitted. I should have said yes. I didn't think it was that bad for you. I looked at my bare mattress on the floor. It was. Jenna closed her eyes for a moment, gathering herself. Do you hate me? She asked quietly. No, I said. I love you. That's why I'm stopping this. Her chin wobbled, and tears gathered. Real ones this time. Between us on the table sat something new. The written agreement I drafted. Family child care rates. Clear boundaries. No guilt tripping. No surprise drop-offs. Payment on pickup. No means no. Jenna picked it up, running her finger over the printed lines. This feels cold, she said. It's a contract, I replied. Contracts aren't warm. They're clear. She hesitated, pen hovering. The moment stretched. Two sisters at the edge of something raw and real. Then she signed. I signed too. We shook hands, almost like strangers. It felt strange. It felt right. Nate didn't come. Instead, he sent a barrage of texts. Selfish, crazy, you'll die alone. Followed by a gif of a dancing cat. I ignored him. 2 weeks later, Jenna tested the new rules. She asked if I could take the kids Saturday for 2 hours, noon to 2. She dropped them off at exactly 12 o'clock, picked them up at exactly 1:47. I still charged her for the full 2 hours. Jenna laughed softly. Okay, accountant. It wasn't warm, but it wasn't bitter either. It was progress. Nate, on the other hand, tried a surprise drop-off. Knocked on my door at 9 a.m. Kids in pajamas. No warning. I didn't open. I texted instead. Unconfirmed. Not available. Then I made pancakes just for myself. No sippy cups, no tantrums, no chaos. Just quiet. Slowly, my studio became a home. I bought a bed frame, fixed the broken fan, scrubbed mold from the bathroom ceiling, watched the sunrise after a night shift, the sky pale and trembling, like it was learning how to exist again. Money felt different too, lighter, freer. No more draining my food budget on juice boxes and dinosaur-shaped snacks. One Saturday of watching Jenna's kids at real rates paid for my bus pass. One overtime shift bought a full week of groceries. For the first time in my adult life, the math added up in my favor. Then I got sick. A bad flu that left me shaking on the bathroom floor. I texted the family. Down for the count. Don't drop kids here. Someone reacted with a laughing emoji. It didn't matter. I turned off my phone anyway. Slept for 16 hours. Woke up and made toast. It was small, but it was mine. On Easter, I sat in the back of the church alone. My mother found me afterward. You're breaking your father's heart, she said. I looked toward Dad across the courtyard, laughing with a neighbor. He looks fine, I said. Jenna texted that afternoon. We can't afford summer camp. Swap? I help you one weekend. You take the kids next? I replied, yes. She showed up with a drill. Not kids, a drill. We fixed my wobbly table together, then ate takeout on the floor. I miss just being your sister, she said softly. Me too, I whispered. And for a moment, we were just Blair and Jenna again. Before expectations, before resentment, before the years of quiet erasure. Nate stayed distant. Every few days, he'd throw a jab in the family group chat. Nice that some people think contracts make them better than the rest of us. I didn't reply. Not because I was afraid, but because I was finally free. On a warm Sunday morning, after a night shift, I sat on my windowsill with a cup of coffee. The light was soft. The room was quiet. For once, it didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. It felt like mine. I wrapped my hands around the mug and breathed slowly, deliberately. For the first time in my life, my time belonged to me, and I intended to protect it.